So now if at all I look after for your syllabus part. First let us discuss your syllabus part. Totally we have 4 chapters. How many chapters are there? 4 chapters. So the chapter 1 speaks about national income. National income. And this chapter 1 has got 2 units. How many units are there? 2 units are there. Unit 1 and Unit 2. Next let me come to chapter 2. This chapter 2 speaks about public finance. Chapter 2 speaks about public finance. And this has got 4 units. Unit 1, 2, 3 and 4. Next comes chapter 3. Your favorite chapter in the entire economics, the most easiest one. Money. Market. How many units are there? Unit 1, 2 and 3. Next comes chapter 4. I can also call it as international economics. Over there it is given as international. How many units? 5. Unit 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So if at all you count only units. 2 plus 4, 6. 6 plus 3, 9 plus 5. So in total how many units? 14 units merged as 4 chapters, and expectation of marks from every single chapter will be from 8 to 12 marks. Minimum at least you will get 8 marks. Maximum is 12 marks. So on an average I can say from every chapter you will get 10 marks. Every chapter you will get 10 marks. So there is one logic here. Sir, ella chapter inda 10 marks andre, even if I skip one chapter, is that okay for me? If 10 marks doesn't matters to you, then all the best, skip it. If you really want that additional 10 marks, then kindly do study it. So once you, after completing the entire economics, you will get that notion, illa sir yavadu skip mado tara tough yavadu illa, aramagi ella kaltkonbodu. And there are few common topics in economics which is related to FM. So it is hardly like some 5 marks. 5 to 10 marks is a common portions are there. Over there the weightage is more in let me say in FM compared to economics. Is that clear? So this is the syllabus part. So in total there are 14 units. How many units? 14. So for the next 25 days we will be discussing how many units? 14 units. So in the today's class we will start up with chapter 1. We will start up with chapter 1. So what is chapter 1? Determination of national income. Given heading chapter 1. Under that unit 1. What was unit 1 of chapter 1? National income. And I expect everyone to close that material. That material is given for you only to prepare at your home, not to open it in the class. And if you want to understand institute material, I expect you to first learn and understand in whatever material I am giving it to you. Because already the foundation students will be knowing this fact. The institute languages like Greek, Latin and French, sometimes you don't even understand anything unless and until you have understood the concept in class. Acceptable? Yeah. So first understand the topic. And the basic disclaimer in the class, by mistake, sir, I am not understanding this topic. It is like confusing. Sir, I am not getting this point. If anyone feels it, don't be hesitant. Raise your hands, then and there itself ask me the doubt and clarify it. So once you are stepping outside the classroom, your doubts has to be 0. Everything has to be clear from your mind. Any topic related to economics, any topic related to and related to your subject, you can ask the doubt inside the class. Anything other than economics, you can ask outside the class. Is that okay? Super. Chalo, let us start. Now, don't write anything for the next 30 minutes or 45 minutes. Just lean back like a boss and listen to me like a story. So next 45 minutes is only a storytelling. First understand the logic, because we are here to understand the logic, not to just understand the theoretical part of it. Super. Now whenever I ask in a layman's sense, I assume that you have forgotten whatever you have studied national income in your second PUC. Sir, nenne madid keladrene ಗೊತ್ತಿರಲ್ಲ. 1.5 ವರ್ಷ ಸರ್, ಅಷ್ಟು ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ BCom ಫೈನಲ್ ಇಯರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೀವಿ. ನಮ್ಗೆಲ್ಲ 4 ವರ್ಷ ಹಿಂದೆ ಸರ್, ಏನು ನೆನಪಿರಲ್ಲ ಅಲ್ಲ. No one remembers it. How many of them are first year BCom students? Raise your hands. First year BCom. Okay, 1, 2 and online, few people will be there. Okay, chalo. You people at least should remember something, because so-called turning point of your life, second PUC, you had the same concept called as national income. What was the turning in your life? Don't ask me that. Even I never understood after even my completing my second PU, what was the turning point in life. So chalo. Now, to understand national income, we have 3 measurements. How many measurements? 3 measurements and 7 concepts. 7 concepts. So in this entire unit, we have to understand these 3 measurements and 7 concepts of national income. So which are those 3 measurements? Which is the first one? Second one? Income method. Third one? Expenditure method. So in short, instead of calling it as measurements, I say how do we calculate national income? There are 3 types. How many types are there? 3 types are there. Which are those 3 types? Value added method, income method, expenditure method. So when I come to 7 important concepts of national income, we need to study GDP, GNP, NDP, NNP, personal income, disposable personal income, and per capita income. So these are the 7 concepts we need to understand in order to understand a national income altogether. So how many concepts are there? 7 concepts are there. Which are those 7 concepts? GDP, GNP, NDP, NNP, personal income, disposable personal income, per capita income. Sir, GDP ಎಲ್ಲೋ ಕೇಳ್ದಂಗಿದೆ ಬಟ್ ಏನಂತ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. What is the abbreviation of it? Gross domestic product. GNP, gross national product. NDP, net domestic product. What is it? Net domestic product. NNP, net national product. PI, DPI, PCI, per capita income. These are the 7 important concepts. Other than the 7 important, we have one more called as private income. What is it? We need to study about it, but these are the major 7 concepts what we have to understand. Now, let us proceed further. Let me make your life even more simple now. If I ask you in a common sense, I don't want your theoretical book answers and all. Sir, this is what I have understand, this is what I know. What do you mean by national income? As a layman, sir, when I listen to this word called as national income, this comes to my mind. What do you mean by national income? Anyone in the class? Whether it is right or whether it is wrong, that is secondary. The main important thing is participation. If you're all you're wrong, I'm there to correct you people. So don't be hesitant. No sir, ನಾನು ಹೇಳರೆ ಪಕ್ಕದಲ್ಲವರು ನಗಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ತಪ್ಪು. Let it be. What is it? Everyone have come here to learn, right? So first throw that out of your mind. Sir, this is what I know. Whether I am correct or wrong, that is secondary. But I think this is the concept. National income. What do you mean by national income? The total income of a population is called as national income. Okay. Anyone else? Earnings by Indian citizens is called as a national income. Okay, superb. Anyone else? Is over there at last? Online? Yes. I'm not getting any answers from online students. What do you mean by national income? Sir, total income of a nation in a financial year. As the name says, income of an entire nation. Okay, so this is what we can say by just a preview in a common sense. Okay, fine, super. But I don't want to straight away enter with a technical point. First, I will explain you all the 7 concepts and then I will ask the same question. Then let us see, will I get the same answer or not. Now, let me take one random example. Now, assuming this is India. This is, I know it doesn't look like India map. Assuming this is India. Now, within India, I will bifurcate it into 2 categories, not North India and South India. Option A, or let me say A category and B category. What is this A category? Category A is Indians earning inside India. Indians earning inside India. Category B is all those multinational company or a foreign based companies or a foreign citizens earning inside India. Earning inside India. Now let me repeat it. Category A is Indians earning inside India. Category B is foreigner companies or foreigners earning inside India. Now, category C, sir, Indians earning outside India. Indians earning? Sir, we Indians, sir, out of great love and affection, after making my higher studies or after completing my higher studies, we go to US, we go to Germany, we work over there, we send money to our parents. Acceptable? So, same to same example. Indians earning? Next comes category D, foreigners earning in their respective countries, that is in their foreign lands. So, what is category A? Category A is Indians earning inside India. Next, what is category B? Okay. Foreigners, or I can say multinational companies earning inside India. What is category C? Indians earning outside India. Next, category D is not that important. Foreigners in their foreign land, respective lands. Okay, let me take a random figures. Sir, in India, we Indians are earning somewhere around rupees 1 lakh. We are earning around 1 lakh. Sir, foreigners earning inside India, let me say some 40,000 rupee. Indians earning outside India, 50,000 rupee. Category D, let me say, sir, some 30 lakh rupees, which is not that important to us in the respective countries. I'm least bothered about it. Now, category A plus category B. What is it? Category A plus? What is that? Indians earning inside India. Foreigners earning inside India. This is nothing but gross domestic product. It means it is the total value. I'm using a word what? Total value of final goods and services. What is it? Final goods and services, both. It includes goods as well as produced within the domestic territory. Produced within the domestic territory is nothing but India. So, whatever goods and services in a one academic year or one financial year, whatever the respective time period we take it, if at all we are producing only and only inside India, only and only, then it contributes to what? GDP. Is that clear? Okay, now let me confuse your life little. Sir, but these multinational companies, when they earn inside India, these rascal people will never invest their money inside India. Obviously, they will take it to their homeland. Acceptable? Sir, if at all I have established my organization in US, America, Germany, wherever it is, whatever profits I make there, I will obviously take back that money to my home nation. Acceptable? So it is, in short, whatever this money, 40,000 rupees is there, it will go outside India. Unlike the same, sir, obviously my own people who are earning outside India, they will send that money to their parents, they will send that money to inside India. Acceptable? So, these are the two elements which is always problematic for you people while calculating national income. So, what to do with this? Remember, this category B, whatever the foreigners have earned inside India, this is factor incomes payable to abroad. Factor incomes. Factor incomes. Payable to? Next, category C is a factor income receivable from abroad. Factor income. Factor income. What is category B? Factor income? Payable to abroad. Sir, we need to pay it to an outside word. Sir, what is category C? Outside word should give me the money, or I should receive the money from an outside word. That is, we Indians have earned outside India. That money has to come inside India. Acceptable? So, by substituting this category B and category C, we have a technical term called as NFIA. What is the technical term called as? Net factor income from abroad. What is NFIA? Net factor income from abroad. What is this net factor income from abroad? Factor incomes receivable from abroad minus factor incomes payable to abroad. So in short, now sir, 50,000 we need to receive, 40,000 we need to pay. So what is the net effect? 10,000 rupees. Acceptable? Sir, for 1 lakh rupee, if I had 10,000 rupee, what do I get? I will get GNP, gross national product. Is it easy? Sir, it's so simple. Then we complicated our life in our second PUC. All those definitions, all those technical elements, all those formulas, acceptable. So first understand the logic. What is it? In short, what is this GNP? It is the total value of goods and services produced by a Indians. Produced by a? What is GDP? Produced within a domestic territory. Produced within a? That is GDP. What is GNP? Produced by a? So difference between GDP and GNP. GDP within India. GNP by a? Indians. This is the only difference. Did you people understood? Okay, superb. Now let me go further. Sir, now there are a lot many goods and lot many services that we are producing. There are few elements which has to be included while calculating. There are few elements which should be excluded while calculating. This is the another area where you people will go wrong. So these are the areas where we need to be little sensitive. See, there are many points which we will consider while calculating national income. There are many points which we will ignore. So this is the last area I will take, because first I will make you to understand all the concepts, and at final moment I will include those elements which has to be included while calculating national income, or those which has to be excluded while calculating national income. Is that okay? Super. No, I will not touch that inclusion and exclusion part now. It will confuse you. So I will take it at last. Now, proceeding further. We have understood GDP in a common parlance. We have understood GNP in a common parlance. Now let me go to the third concept. Which was the third concept? NDP. Now, if I ask you the difference in the alphabets or the letters, whatever is given over there. Sir, GDP, GNP, the difference was from D to? From domestic to national. So what was the difference that we understood now? NFIA. Net factor income from? For GDP, if I add net factor income from abroad, what do I get? GNP. Is that clear? Now, sir, we need to change the very first alphabet now. From G to N. G stands for gross. N stands for net. G stands for? N stands for? Sir, somewhere we have heard the same words in accountancy. Gross profit, net profit. Acceptable? Same to same logic, pa. From your gross profit, we will deduct all indirect expenditures, and finally we will arrive at net profit. Unlike the same, even in economics, sir, we need to deduct one indirect expenditure. What is that indirect expenditure? That is called as depreciation. What is it called as? In economics, this depreciation is technically called as CCA. Capital Consumption Allowances. Capital Consumption. What is CCA? What do you mean by NFIA? Net factor income from? What is CCA? Capital Consumption Allowances. I will not ask you in an order wise every time. I will purposefully make you people confused by asking here and there from point A, point E, point Z. I will never ask you in a format. So whenever you are listening, first listen to the question properly, then respond. Don't go with the flow. Superb. Now, sir, why do we need to take out depreciation? There comes a question. Whenever we are producing any good or whenever we are producing any services, we use lot of fixed assets. Acceptable? Sir, this fixed assets, as a passage of time, wear and tear effect will be there. Whether we use it or whether we don't use it, obviously we need to take out a portion of a value as a depreciation. Acceptable? Unlike the same, was even in economics, when we are producing any goods and services in an entire economy, we use lot of capital assets, we use lot of fixed assets. So for all those fixed assets utilized, we need to take out depreciation. We need to take out. So that is a reason, from my GDP, if I take out depreciation if I take out depreciation, that gross will become. So now what do we call it as? Net domestic. Is it clear? From GNP, from? That is goods and services produced by Indians. From that, if I take out depreciation, what do I get? Net national. Is that clear? So in short, what is a difference between gross and net? Depreciation. Is that clear? What is a difference between gross and net? depreciation, or they might use you the fancy words, capital consumption allowances, consumption of fixed capital, consumption of fixed capital. They might use alternative words. By end of the day, the meaning remains same. In short, they are called as what? Depreciation. From gross, if I need to reach for net, I need to deduct depreciation. From domestic, if I need to reach national. From domestic, if I need to reach what I need to add? Net factor income from abroad. So keep this in your mind. The shortcut to remember the concepts. Listen to me very carefully. From GDP, if I add NFIA, what do I get? GNP. From GNP, if I deduct CCA, that is capital consumption allowances, what do I get? NN. That's it by your national income. Nothing else. Remember, the technical term of national income is NNP at factor cost. NNP at factor cost. Remember this. The other word for a national income is NNP at factor cost. NNP at factor cost. NNP at factor cost. Underline this in your mind 100 times. The technical word of national income is NNP at factor cost. So in the total calculation, we need to derive NNP at they will give you the values of GDP, they will give you the values of factor incomes receivable from abroad, payable to abroad, all those A, B, C, D, Z informations they will give you. And they will also give many biscuits for you people. What is this biscuits? Unnecessary informations. Unnecessary. And my students are very much natural love and affected because of that unnecessary information. They will take it, they will calculate it, they will find out their own recipe in it. So finally, sir, correct ಆಗಿ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೆ ಸರ್, ಮಾರ್ಕ್ಸ್ ಏನೇ ಡಿಡಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. ಏನಕ್ಕೆ? ಅಲ್ಲೊಂದು ಕ್ರೀಮ್ ಬಿಸ್ಕೆಟ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಆ ಕ್ರೀಮ್ ಬಿಸ್ಕೆಟ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಮಕ್ಳಿಗೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಇಷ್ಟ. ಅನ್ನೆಸೆಸರಿ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್ಸ್ ತಗೊಂಡಿರ್ತಾರೆ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಇಲ್ಲ ಸರ್ ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೆ ಸರ್. ಸೊ ದೇರ್ ಆರ್ ಮೆನಿ ಲಾಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಅನ್ನೆಸೆಸರಿ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್ಸ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಗಿವನ್ ಇನ್ ಯುವರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್. ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ವಾಟ್ ಆರ್ ದ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್ಸ್ ಟು ಬಿ ಟೇಕನ್ and what are the informations not to be. So first you need to come to that mindset. So this is the only information I need. So your national income calculation is pretty simple, pa. Don't complicate your life. Understand this much. What is GDP? GDP is the total value of goods and services produced within India. Within or within a domestic territory. Within a domestic territory. What is GNP? It is a total value of goods and services produced by Indians. What is the difference between GDP and GNP? NFIA. What is this NFIA? Net factor income from abroad. So even to be more brief about it, factor incomes receivable from abroad minus factor incomes payable to abroad. This is called as net factor income from abroad. So whenever I include net factor income from abroad to my GDP, what do I get? GNP. So in short, concentrate on that alphabets. I need to just change the alphabet. From D, I need to change it for. So difference between D and N is? NF? Keep this in your mind, your life becomes simple. Next, sir, I need to convert this G into. What is the difference? What is it called as? Or in short, in a layman's language, it is called as depreciation. Is that clear? So in short, your national income concepts are pretty simple, but the most confusing. Why it is confusing? Because of unnecessary additional informations given to you. So ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಏನೇ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ರು ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಪೇಪರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಅನ್ಕೊಳ್ತೀವಿ. ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ ರಾಂಗ್. There are many unnecessary informations given. So first only understand what to be taken and what not to be. Is it clear? A simple meaning of GDP and GNP. NDP, NN. Is that clear? Superb. Now let me look after to your material. Now everyone, wait. I will only show it. Why to worry? National income. Observe every word here. Every word is important. It is a gross and net. What is difference? So my national income does not include. It is the net value of all economic goods and. So that is, in short, this word economic goods and services refers to produced within an economy by Indians. Because my national income is a income generated by the citizens of a nation. Citizens of a. So what is national income? I'm going little more technical. It is little confusing, so concentrate here. It is a net value. Whenever we see this word called as net, one thing has to strike to your mind. It is after depreciation of all economic goods and services produced within a which also includes income received from, what is it technically called as, or in a layman's language, in a most easiest way, it is the money value of dash goods and services. It is the money value of. Now comes a question, what is this finished goods and services? The goods which are ready for a consumption. The goods which are, we never calculate the values of intermediary goods. We never calculate the values of. So the very first exemption, or let me say which should not be included in a national income, is raw materials or intermediary goods. We should only and only consider finished goods. Is that clear? So produced within a and by. So in short, they are explaining about NFIA. Same words can be explained in different ways. So don't get confused. By end of the day, logic remains same. They might explain it in different ways. Acceptable. Superb. Now let me proceed further. Technically, what is national income called as? NNP at net national product at factor cost is also called as national income. So to understand more about the national income, so how many concepts was there? 7 important concepts were there. Which were the 7 important concepts? GDP, GNP, NDP, NNP, personal income, disposable personal income, and per capita income. Now let me come to the very first point, that is gross domestic product. Now gross means inclusive of depreciation. Domestic means within India. Within. Product means both goods as well as. Simple, sir. The word itself says the entire meaning if we have understood the logic. Acceptable. Gross means inclusive of depreciation. Domestic means within India. Product includes both goods as well as services. In short, all those, listen to me very carefully, all those sum total value added. Sum total. Now new word, sir. What is this value added? Now listen to me very carefully. Sir, I like biscuits. I will go to a bakery. I will purchase a packet of biscuit. Assuming Oreo. Sir, majority of them likes it. Acceptable. Majority. I'm not saying all. Majority. Now, just take the scratch process. Sir, a farmer is growing a wheat. Now, after production of wheat, he will take it to a flour mill. It will be passed on to a flour mill. After making it as a flour, that is a wheat powder, then it will be given to a baker. Then a baker will produce a biscuit. So there is a long, lengthy procedure involved. Now, sir, whenever a farmer is growing this wheat, assuming, sir, I am selling this wheat for 10 rupee per kg. For how much? Sir, assuming a farmer is selling rupees 10 per kg of wheat. Superb. Now, sir, when it comes to mill, sir, a mill owner, after converting into a flour, that is your wheat flour, he will sell it for rupees 30 per kg. Rupees 30. Now, sir, a baker, he will purchase that flour mill for rupees 30 per kg, and this baker is producing a biscuit, and he will sell this biscuit, let me say a packet of biscuit. Assuming by 1 kg of flour mill, I can produce 20 biscuits. How many biscuits? 20. Sir, I am selling this 20 biscuits for rupees 60. For rupees. Now, if you observe it carefully, sir, all the way it started with rupees 10. But for an end customer, what is the price? Now, we are adding the values in between. Wholesaler, retailer, producer, distributor. There are many lot of people in between involved. Even they are converting this raw material into a finished good. Sir, initially that wheat was a raw material. Finished good was a flour mill. Flour mill was a raw material to a baker. The finished good was biscuits. So whenever we are adding a value, be it any person, be it an intermediary, be it a producer of it, be it initial producer, farmer, all those intermediate values, all those in order to make a commodity fit for human consumption. Fit for? They are called as intermediary values. Intermediary. So it is a sum total. We are using a word called as what? Sum total. So whatever total intermediary values that we are producing in order to make this commodity fit for human consumption, all the intermediary values should be considered. It is not only, sir, only for producer, only for distributor, only for retailer. No, boss. For all the people. For until and unless it reaches to the end consumer. Until and unless it reaches to the... Sir, suppose, sir, I am a manufacturer of a pen. Now I need a raw material called as ink. I need a raw material called as a refill, a plastic or whatever it might be to mold it in a proper shape and form. Superb. Now I'm selling this pen for 10 rupee. I'm selling this pen for... My raw material cost in order to produce this pen is 7 rupee. It is? So 10 rupees is the final output for a customer. 7 rupees is an intermediary value. Acceptable? So we will remove that intermediary value. What is the sum added by a seller? 3 rupee. Only that value added should be considered. Only that. So the second technical point, now I am not considering the entire raw material cost here. I am only and only considering value added. Value. Value. Superb. Is it clear? Now read the definition over there. It is the sum total value by all. I will never consider a raw material or intermediary good. It is only and only for final goods and services produced in a for a same to same things, sir. The definitions are same. Only one or two words will change. GDP, GNP, NDP, NNP, whatever it is, depending upon the situation, depending upon the concept, the word to word starts changing. Now you need to understand three important technical points here. Which are the three important technical points? Sum total value. Already we understood. Sir, it is a final goods and already we understood. And there comes a question. What is domestic territory? What is? What is? Can anyone tell me what do you mean by domestic territory? Randomly, sir. This is what I think is a domestic territory. Sir, within a political boundaries of a country. Sir, whatever, whenever we purchase a map, sir, India map, sir, it is like this, in this shape. This is the political boundary. That is called as a domestic territory. Acceptable? Any different answers? Any technically? Does anyone know about it? Okay, chalo. Domestic territory has three important points. How many important points? All movable assets. All immovable assets. And then comes the most important. This is where my students will go wrong. Embassies or High Commissioner offices situated in India or outside India or in other countries. Domestic territory includes all those political boundaries, whatever you people specified. Along with the political boundary, there are three things importantly included. All those movable. Let me take a best example, aircraft, a ship. Assuming Indian Airlines, it is flying over a Pacific Ocean, or let me say it is flying over a Europe. Flying over a? Sir, Europe is a land which is belonging to the Europe country or a European nation or a European continent. Acceptable? But the aircraft which is passing, the space inside the aircraft is a Indian territory. It is a? Or a ship, Indian ship, sailing in a Pacific Ocean. That Pacific Ocean is not an Indian territory, I agree. But a ship, the area of land which the ship possesses, inside the ship, that is an Indian territory. That is a? This is little confusing. Understand it carefully. Any movable, be it aircraft or be it a vessel, ship, that will be an Indian territory. Next, immovable assets, ports, best example. Any ports situated in a seabed, even though if it is considered as a international waters, even though it is considered as a, that is a Indian territory. That is a, suppose if it is situated in India, or let me give you one more best example. Have you heard about something called as SEZs, Special Economic Zones? Sir, any goods and services produced in SEZ cannot be domestically sold. Acceptable? We cannot sell it inside the country, sir. It is only specifically designed or specifically crafted to do an export business. Acceptable? So SEZ is not a domestic territory. SEZ is not a. because no doubt it is situated within the Indian land, but the space of SEZ is never considered as a domestic territory. Acceptable? Unlike the same, even the ports, even though if it is not situated in a domestic territory, if it is in international waters, and still it will be considered as a domestic territory of a nation. Acceptable? So all movable assets and all immovable assets. And then comes the third important point, all the high commissioner offices, or in short embassy offices. Sir, I want to visit USA. Sir, first I need to get a visa. Acceptable? Now you will go to a high commissioner office which is of USA's, which is located in India. You will apply for a visa. That is all those international offices. Assuming, sir, in USA an Indian embassy is located. Indian embassy. That is Indian domestic land. That is the territory of India. But the same USA's high commissioner officer situated in Indian land, that is not a domestic territory. That is not a domestic territory. So all those high commissioner offices or embassies located either inside India or outside India, which is of Indian in nature, which is of Indian. It has to be Indian high commissioner offices. So they are called as a domestic territory. They are called as a domestic. So remember, what is domestic territory? Domestic territory includes all those political. Along with the political boundaries, there are three important elements. Which are those three important elements? All those movable assets, immovable assets, and embassy or a high commissioner offices situated within India or outside India. This is the meaning of domestic territory. Acceptable? And what was the meaning of final goods or a finished goods? All those goods and services which are available to the end consumer at the end point where it is ready to consume. Unless and until if it is not ready to consume, it is never called as a final goods, and it is only and only a intermediary good. And all those intermediary goods are not included in GDP or calculation of national income. Is that clear? So these are the chota mota technical points. Anyone having doubts? Understand that example. Category A, category B, category C, and category D. That would be the important thing. That would be the game changer for you people. Category A and category B will be GDP within India. Now NFIA, incomes receivable from abroad, minus incomes payable to abroad. So that will be GNP. So in short, difference between domestic and national is NFIA. What is the difference between gross and net? It makes your life simple. Whenever in a definition you just see to the word called as net, what does it mean? Excluding depreciation. Whenever you see the word called as gross in a definition, what do you mean by that? Includes depreciation. Whenever you see the word called as domestic territory, it is nothing but only within political boundaries and includes three important things: movable assets, immovable assets, and high commissioner offices located within India or outside India. Is it clear? Any doubts till now? Chalo, copy this down. Example, especially this main example. Yes, boss. You need to consider it as a finished good. Suppose, for example, let me give you this. Assuming I am a manufacturer of a pen, for me, what is a final end good after making it as a complete pen, which is in a saleable condition? Acceptable? But for a person, let me say, who uses it for a painting, that ink, whatever is there, that might be a final good for him to draw. Acceptable? For me, it is only an intermediary good wherein I will use it to make it as a refill. But for an artist, it is a final good. Acceptable? So it depends upon for what purpose I am using. Based on that, I will make sure that whether it is a final good or whether it is an intermediary good. There is no proper definition stating that this is the, if at all it class. Let me say, if at all it comes in a preview of so and so and so point, it is a final good. Or if it is a so and so point, intermediary good. No, boss. And the same atta can be used for making chapati at a home. The same atta is also used in a bakery to prepare a biscuits. Acceptable? Now with the same biscuit, sir, this restaurant people will further, let me say, process it and they will make it as some desserts. So for a restaurant person, it is still an intermediary. But for a household, it is a final good. Acceptable? So it depends upon situation to situation whether it is final or whether it is intermediary. But when we are calculating with respect to national income, only and only final goods value should be considered. Is that clear? Super, boss. So just write down this example in your own words. Even though when you are opening tomorrow or after 1 year, you should be able to understand what was this example. So category A, B, C and D. So I have made your life simple by giving that material. As much as possible, I have made it easier. So straight away from the material itself, I will be teaching for you people. Is it done? Now below this example, write down NFIA, net factor income from abroad. Below that write down factor income receivable from abroad. Factor income receivable from abroad. In bracket write down C minus factor income payable to abroad. In bracket write down B, that category C minus category B. NFIA, the word stands for net factor income from abroad. Below this, factor incomes receivable from abroad, that is your category C, minus factor incomes payable to abroad, that is category B. And below this, leave one line space and write down what is GNP. GNP is equals to GDP plus NFIA. GNP will be GDP plus NFIA. GNP will be GDP plus NFIA. Next, write down this shortcut. Below that, just write down as a shortcut, given heading as shortcut. GDP plus NFIA will give you GNP. Next, GNP minus CCA. What do you mean by CCA? Capital consumption allowances, or it is also called as depreciation. So GNP minus CCA will give you NNP. Just write down as NNP. Don't write this factor cost and all. I will explain you. Will give you NNP. Now, okay, let me ask you this question. Just kindly do answer me. Suppose for GNP, if I deduct depreciation, what do I get? NNP. Acceptable? Now, for GDP, if I add NFIA, what do I get? We'll get GNP. Okay, superb. Now, for this GNP, if I deduct NFIA, what do I get? Even kindly to understand in a reverse calculation. Sometimes reverse calculation will be most confusing. Suppose from GNP, if I deduct CCA, what do I get? NNP. NNP. For NNP, if I add NFIA, what do I get? Idiot people, wrong concept. Already it is in national. observe the second alphabet and first alphabet. Every time. Observe that first and second alphabet. Already it is in national. Already it includes NFIA. Acceptable. So, if I deduct NFIA, what do I get? NNP minus NFIA. NNP minus from national. If I take out NFIA, it will come back to domestic. N will become D. They are just playing with your emotions and sentiments. This is how they will give the reverse calculation. Sir, confuse ಆಗ್ತಿದೆಯಲ್ಲ ಇದು ಇಷ್ಟೊತ್ತರೆಗೂ ಕರೆಕ್ಟಾಗಿ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯಿತು ಪಾ ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ರಿವರ್ಸ್ ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಷನ್ ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ದ ಡಿಫರೆನ್ಸ್ ಗ್ರಾಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಡೊಮೆಸ್ಟಿಕ್ ಇಸ್ ಡಿಫರೆನ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ NFIA. Gross and domestic is the difference of NFIA. G to N, that is gross and net. Gross and is difference of depreciation. So already it is in national N. Already NFIA will be included. If I remove NFIA, what do I get? First letter will remain same, first alphabet. So N, D, P. So observe that first alphabet and second alphabet. Every single time, these are the only things you need to observe. Sir, if it is already in gross, it means includes depreciation. If it is in net, it excludes depreciation. If they have given it as D, domestic means only produced inside India. If it is N, already included with NFIA. So they will only play with this. They will give you reverse calculations. So don't get confused whether it is a reverse calculation or whether it is a straight calculation. Be pretty much clear. First alphabet, second alphabet. If it is D, not included with NFIA. If it is N, included with NFIA. If it is G, gross, included with depreciation. If it is net, excluded with depreciation. Pretty simple. Is that clear? Superb. Now, okay, already you have written this. Super. Okay, chalo. Let us proceed further. Now, given heading, concepts of national income. Concepts of national income. Concepts of national income. Right on that. GDP, GNP, NDP, NNP, personal income, disposable personal income, per capital income. Concepts of national income, 7 concepts are there. Next, after that, measurements of national income. How many measurements are there? Which are those 3 measurements? Value added method, income method, expenditure method. So it is as simple as calculation of national income as 3 types. Value added method, income method, expenditure method. What is the meaning value added? Superb. It excludes all those intermediary values. It is the final value of output which is ready or which is available for a customer. Whatever the value that we are adding, that is 10 rupees was the price of a pen. Intermediary value was 7 rupee. All those raw material cost and all. Now what is value added only? 3 rupee. Only that 3 rupee is called as a value added. So in short, value of output minus value of inputs. Simple. Did you people wrote it? 7 concepts and 3 measurements. Which are the 7 concepts and which are the 3 measurements? Yes, boss. I will explain. I will explain. I will explain. Still long way to go. So what is the difference between domestic and national? NF. What is the difference between gross and net? Is it done? Let us proceed. So as much as possible, I have reduced your writing work. Only wherever it is required, shortcut elements, all those things, I will make you to write it. So or you want me to dictate the notes? Or you want to waste the time in writing things? Yes, no, respond anything. Nidhe bartidiyappa inna? Pillow beka? Okay. Done? Now have a look here. Do not write only when you feel it is necessary. Sir, I think this is little necessary. Then start making your running notes. Rest everything else is already provided in your material. Superb. Now, what is the meaning of GDP? It is a sum total value added. Now the very first technical word is what? Sum total value added of all final goods and services produced within a domestic territory for a given period of time. Now, your GDP is a two-dimensional concept. What is GDP? GDP is a now first understand here. What is this two dimension? GDP. It is a two dimension. The very first dimension is based on calculation. Based on the second one will be based on measurements. Based on now, based on calculation is further classified into two types. What is this? GDP at factor cost. GDP at and GDP at market price. GDP at factor cost and GDP at and this measurement is also further classified into two types. This is called as GDP at current price. GDP at current price. And next one, GDP at constant price. GDP at constant price. And kindly do remember this current price. This is also called as nominal GDP. It is also called as nominal GDP. And this current price is also called as real GDP. What is it called as? Real GDP. So GDP is a dash dimensional concept, two-dimensional concept. Which are those two dimensions? Based on calculation, based on measurements. So according to the calculation, it is further classified into two types. The very first one is called as GDP at factor cost. Second one is called as GDP at based on measurements. It is GDP at current price, GDP at now both the concepts are important. With respect to calculation of national income, these two concepts, factor cost and market price, nominal GDP and real GDP. Nominal GDP is also called as GDP at dash price, GDP at current price. Real GDP is also called as what? GDP at. So this is the area where usually you people get confused. Nominal GDP and real GDP is a term, they will use it in exam. Or else they can also call nominal GDP as GDP at current price. Real GDP as? So constant real, current nominal. In short, to remember, shortcut to remember, listen to me very carefully. Whenever I say A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, A to Z, N comes first or R comes first. N, nominal GDP, current, at present. N. Next comes R, base price or a constant price. We assume prices to remain constant. Prices to remain. So, kindly remember this alphabetical order. First comes N, then later comes R. So, nominal is present, real is constant. Real is. So, don't get confused. This is the area where usually you people get confused. Nominal GDP represent what? GDP at current price. Real GDP represents GDP at. Superb. Now listen to me very carefully. After this, we'll take a break. Superb. Iವಾಗ energy ಬರುತ್ತೆ. Break ಅಂತ ಹೆಸರು ಕೇಳ್ತಿದ್ದಂಗೆ. Superb. Now, what is this GDP at factor cost or GDP at market price? Factor cost. Sir, we have heard this word called as factor. Who is a factor? Producer. Sir, for a producer, whatever the cost that he is incurring. Sir, I am producing this pen. As a producer, in order to produce this one single pen, what is the total cost that I am incurring? That is a factor cost. That is a factor cost. In short, we have something called as factors of production. Acceptable. So, what are the factors of production? Land, labor, capital, organization. Obviously, sir, these factors of productions will not work for free of cost. They will expect something in return. Acceptable? Sir, what does land expect? Obviously, whenever I have purchased a specific land, obviously I need to pay rent every month when I am operating in that land. Will labor come and work for free of cost? ಬಂದು ಹೊಡೆದ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾರೆ ಸರ್ ಫ್ರೀ ಆಗಿ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರೆ. ವೇಜಸ್ ಆರ್ ಸ್ಯಾಲರೀಸ್. ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ interest. Suppose I have taken a loan from a banker, sir. Along with the principal amount, I need to pay interest. So the returns on capital will be in a form of interest. As a owner, what do you expect? Profit, sir. That is the main important. That is why I am working. So I expect as a organizer or as a organization. So in short, rewards of factors of production. What are the rewards of factors of production? Rent, wages or a salary, interest and profit. All this four put together is called as. Is it clear? So what is factor cost? In short, the rewards of factors of production. So if at all I only consider the rewards of factors of production to produce any goods and services, to produce any, that is called as what? That is called as GDP at or. Listen to me, now the twist comes. This is the very first formula. Rent plus wages plus interest plus profit. This is factor cost. Or else, remember, they will use a word called as compensation to employees. Compensation to employees. As an employee, what do you expect? Wages or salary. That is nothing but compensation to employees. Just listen. Don't write, first listen. Compensation to employees. What does it mean? Wages and salary. And they use a word called as operating surplus. Operating surplus. Interest, rent, profit. Three things are included. How many things are included? Operating surplus as three things. Which are those three things? Interest plus rent plus profit. In your examination, your ICA is a very good person. What he will do? In options, he will also give something called as operating surplus, assuming value is 2000 rupee. And to confuse you people, after some 2-3 elements, he will also give an information of interest. Let me say 1200, rent 500, and he will not give anything related to profit. You people are Mahan Boss, very much expert. Shashi Kiran sir has said operating surplus is interest plus rent plus profit. Okay, sir, interest value 1200, rent value 500, then operating surplus plus 2000. So this 1200 and 500 is a cream biscuit. What is it? You should not take that. What is operating surplus? Operating surplus includes three things: rent, interest, profit. Suppose if rent, interest and profit value is also given. Now 1200 plus 500, 1700. What is remaining out of 2000? So all this three information is also given. Along with that, operating surplus is also given. Either take any one, rent plus interest plus profit, or only and only the value of operating surplus. Is it clear? Yes. So this is where you people will go wrong. That is why I am repeatedly saying this is where you will go wrong. This is where you will go wrong. And he purposefully wants you people to make a mistake. That is why he will give extra informations like this. So boss, what is operating surplus includes? Interest and profit. What is compensation to employees? Wages and salary. Compensation to employees can be wages or a salary. Usually they will not give both together, wages and salaries, or wages separate, salary separate. No boss, any one will be given. And the confusing part is always and always operating rent plus interest plus profit. Rent plus interest plus profit. So be careful when you are solving any of the problems. They will give you the informations like this and they will confuse you. Do not take the same information twice. Acceptable? Any doubt? Let us continue further. Next. For this factor cost calculation, we have one more element. Usually it is little confusing. Try to understand it the very first time. The concept name is mixed income. Concept name is mixed income. What is this mixed income? Listen to me very carefully. Shashi Kiran sir, he started producing benches. He started producing. Okay, now along with teaching, assuming I'm very bad at teaching, students started throwing tomato and all those vegetables on me. Now I left teaching. I started producing benches. Okay, pa, super. Now whatever money which I saved from my teaching, I have invested that money in my sole proprietorship. I have started to produce benches and I've also employed some 20 people in my organization. I'm paying salaries to them. Okay, assuming after 1 year, I paid also salary. My end profit is 10 lakh rupee. End profit is. Now, boss, I have invested my savings in my company. Acceptable. As an employee, I am also working over there. In a sole proprietorship, you are an economic hero. Even you are a sweeper, you are a owner, you are a cleaner, everything you belong to. Now, boss, I am also working in my own organization and I am also invested my money. Now, if I technically speak, for working in my organization, I should also receive something called as a salary. Suppose the same work, if I would have done elsewhere, I will get a monthly salary. And for investing my money, returns on capital is interest. Or let me say, as an organization, there is a profit. So this profit is also belonging to me and I'm also working over there. Now, my question for you people, at the end 10 lakh rupees profit, can you divide it? Okay, out of this 10 lakh, 2 lakh rupees is your salary income, 8 lakh rupees is your profit. Can you do it? Can you do it? There are many professions wherein you are also working over there and you are also giving your money into the same business. So it becomes highly difficult to bifurcate between what is your business income and what is your interest income or what is your salaried income over there, and we can't do it. Technically we can't do it. Acceptable. So in such a cases, we need to entirely take that as an income. Entirely take that as a. So we can't bifurcate them. So this mixed income is a total income earned by an entrepreneur. Total income earned by a or by a sole proprietor or by a owner. That is called as a mixed income. In a profit element, sometimes they will not use a word called as profit. They will give a word called as mixed income. They will use a word called as. So now what is the formula? Sir, the factor cost formula can also be operating surplus plus compensation to employees plus mixed income. So this is the second way of asking the question from factor cost. So the very first way, pretty simple, sir. Rewards to factors of production: rent, wages, interest, and or else operating surplus, compensation to, or all the three things should be included. All the three things should be. Is it clear? Now, what does operating surplus includes? Operating surplus includes interest, rent, and. So don't get confused. Sometimes both the informations will be provided. You need to take either one. Either you take only rent, interest, and profit, or either completely whatever is given as operating surplus, you need to take that. And sometimes cross calculated. Suppose they have given operating surplus as 2000. Interest information itself is not given. Rent 500, profit 1000. Now what will you take? You should only and only take entire 2000 rupee because the information of interest is not given. So at that point of time, I cannot consider only 1500. I need to consider the entire operating surplus. Acceptable. So this is how you people will get confused, and this is where you people will do it wrong. So don't get confused. Is that clear? Shall I proceed further? Superb. Now listen to me very carefully. This is where the majority of the question appears. Whenever I say market price, whenever I say sir, that is a price which is ready in a market for a customer to purchase. Acceptable. Sir, my market price is nothing but MRP. Acceptable. What is MRP? Maximum retail price. And in every particular product which you purchase, there will be MRP specified, and within bracket they will write something. What is that? Inclusive of all. What is this taxes? Is it direct or indirect? Indirect taxes. Remember, in India we have two types of taxation. How many types of taxation? Direct and indirect. This indirect tax is on goods and services. Goods and this direct tax is on income and wealth. Income and whatever income you earn in this one entire year, or whatever ancestral property you have inherited, wealth, all those things, that is direct tax. Slab system, up to 2.5 lakh nothing, 2.5 lakh to 5 lakh rupee 5%, 5 to 10 lakh rupee 20%, 10 lakh and above 30%. All those slab system you will learn it in paper 4. Paper taxation, direct and indirect. Now indirect tax is on what? Goods and. So whatever you are purchasing as a good or whatever you are purchasing as a services, obviously you will pay tax on that. So remember my market price. What is it? Market price is inclusive of indirect taxes. What is inclusive of? Indirect taxes. So whenever you see this word called as market price includes indirect taxes. Indirect. So formula GDP at market price is equals to GDP at factor cost plus IDT, indirect taxes, and minus subsidies. Minus, you would have at least heard this word in your 12th standard, might be in your degree. Subsidies. What is the subsidies? Does anyone know? Subsidies. For whom? Wrong. For the producers on all essential goods. Best example, LPG cylinder at your home, whatever we purchase. Suppose, sir, if the market price of this LPG cylinder is 1000 rupee, as a household we don't pay 1000 rupee. Sir, only we pay 650 rupee. Sir, whatever the remaining 350 rupees is there, this is subsidy money what a manufacturer directly receives from government. Receives from? That is, it is a compensation given by a government or a assistance given by a government. Compensation or a assistance given by a government on all essential goods and services. On all. From a government to a manufacturer. From a government to a. So suppose if there is any subsidy element, obviously, sir, we as a citizens, we as a customers in a market, we don't pay that subsidy money because government will pay to the manufacturer. So I will not pay that money. Acceptable. So I am not including that subsidy money in my market price. So what does market price includes? Market price only includes indirect taxes. Indirect. Simple baat pa, common sense. Sir, when I am purchasing any product in a market, sir, it is MRP. MRP includes all taxes. So indirect taxes are included in a market price. So whatever the factor cost, for a factor, whatever the factor rewards were there, that is rent, interest, wages and profit. Along with that, I need to include taxes. Then only I can sell it in a market. Acceptable? So what is the formula of GDP at market price? GDP at market price is equals to GDP at plus indirect taxes minus subsidy. And listen to me very carefully. This indirect tax and the subsidy put together, they will call it as net taxes. Net or NIT. They can also call it as net indirect taxes. Net indirect. That is adjusted tax. Adjusted. So in case of market price, we will add indirect tax and deduct subsidy. So they will not give you the separate words called as indirect taxes and subsidy. They will only just give it as net indirect taxes. It is nothing but adjusted. It is already adjusted. There is no rule that in every problem there has to be a information regarding subsidy. Only if subsidy is given. Only if subsidy is, then we will consider. If subsidy is not given, then we don't break over it. Life becomes simple. Acceptable? Superb. If they have given the word called as net indirect taxes or net taxes, net, then it is already adjusted. Suppose if we are calculating market price, listen, now listen. If we are calculating market price for GDP at factor cost, we will include this NIT. We will include this. Sir, how do I get to know? Just see the symbol after your GDPFC. What is it? Add. So we need to include that net indirect taxes. Now, what is the formula for GDP at factor cost? Now you people should only tell me, think it is a common sense. Sir, market price is inclusive of tax. Factor cost, does it include tax? For a manufacturer, when he is producing something, will there be a tax that is included? Only if we sell it in an economy, then we will have to pay the indirect taxes. Acceptable? So don't you think GDP at factor cost is equals to GDP at market price minus indirect taxes plus subsidies, because subsidies are the portion of money which a manufacturer has to receive. as a compensation or as a assistance given by a government. Acceptable? So, boss, these are the two formulas wherein you people have to remember it. The most confusing part will be your indirect tax and which to include and which to. Remember the logic. If I'm purchasing any product in an open market, that is inclusive of. So market price includes, factor cost does not include. Simple. Sir, manufacturer, for me tax is not included. But if I sell it in an open market, taxes are. What kind of tax is that? Direct or indirect? It is only indirect tax. Sometimes in your, let me say in a problem, they will give information of both. Direct tax and? Sir, which tax to take, sir? Which one, pa? Today you people are remembering. First day of the class, full josh, everyone remembers it. After 2 months, when I give a test, if I give both the information, direct and? ಯಾವ್ದೋ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸು ತೆಗಿಬೇಕು, ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟಾ ಇಂಡೈರೆಕ್ಟಾ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. ಇಂಕಿ ಪಿಂಕಿ ಪಾಂಕಿ ಫಾದರ್ ಅಡೆ ಡಾಂಕಿ ಬೈ ಲಕ್ಕಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದರೆ ಬರಲಿ ಬಿಡಿ ಸರ್, ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಯಾವುದೋ ಒಂದು. ಸೊ ವಿಚ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಸ್? ಸೊ ರಿಮೆಂಬರ್, ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಸ್ ಆನ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಅಂಡ್ wealth, indirect taxes on goods and services. National income is calculated for goods and services. So which tax to be taken? Indirect taxes to be taken. Is that clear? Understanding? So this was the concept of GDP at market price and GDP at market price and GDP at. Now have a look here. Let us see in the material and then we will take a break. Sir, first ಕಾಯ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ ಸರ್, ಹೊಟ್ಟೆ ಸಿಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಸರ್. Wait. Now see here, GDP at factor cost. GDP at. In order to produce any commodity, we require land, labor, capital and these are called as what? 4 factors of. As they expect a returns and they do not work for free of cost. So what does land expects? Rent. Labor expects wages or salary. Organization expects profit. Superb. Capital expects interest. Now in short it is a summation, sir. GDP at factor cost is nothing but rent plus wages plus interest plus profitability. Or else GDP at factor cost is equals to GDP at market price minus indirect taxes. Sir, because we are calculating factor cost. Factor cost does not includes taxes but it includes. So the adjusted one, indirect tax and subsidy adjusted is called as. In short they will also give it as. Or else, there is also one more formula. GDP at factor cost is compensation to. What does compensation to employees includes? Wages and salary. Then operating. What does operating surplus includes? Rent, interest and profit. Next comes, what is mixed income? All those incomes which cannot be bifurcated, which is of salary part and which is of profit part. So it is called as a complete whole as a income for an individual. So that is called as a mixed income. And why is this depreciation included? Can please anyone tell me? It's gross. It's what were we calculating? Gross domestic product. So the word itself says it is gross. So whenever I say net domestic product, then in the same formula we will deduct depreciation. So we are just playing with the words. We are just playing with the. So keep this in your mind. Only by words they will play with you, and your institute is a very good rascal of it. And you know how to confuse you people, and that is the reason CA is also called as what? Come again. It is also called as come again. CA, come again. We love your answers. Come again. We are like, sir, I have written everything properly, sir. Everything was right, sir. But still, sir, they didn't give me a marks at all. They are like, we love your answers. Come again. If not May, there is November. And like the same. If not November, there is May. If not May, there is. Stay. We love your answers. Come again. If Corona comes, happy birthday to you. Extra time for preparation. So, take a break. Come back in 15 minutes. It is a chota break. What is it? Chota break. 15 minutes enough, right? It is break fast. Break? As the name says, break fast. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಬೇಗ ಬರಬೇಕು. 15 to 20 minutes. So, the time is 8:20 now. So, come back by 8:40. 8:40 will start it. So 20 minutes is a break. As a first day, why to bother you people much? One first ದಿನ ಬಿಟ್ಬಿಡೋಣ, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಟೈಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಗೊತ್ತು ಮಾಡೋಣ. So take a break, 20 minutes and come back soon.